So, the most powerful Iranian-backed militia in Iraq, Kataib Hezbollah, declared on Tuesday the temporary suspension of its military operations against U.S. forces in the region. This decision is likely in response to the U.S. ramping up for a major prolonged retaliation in response to a drone attack that claimed the lives of 3 U.S. service members and left numerous others wounded. Now, in a statement, Kataib Hezbollah conveyed their rationale, stating that we are announcing the suspension of military and security operations against occupation forces, also known as the U.S., in order to prevent embarrassment to the Iraqi government, end quote. They added that they would persist in defending their people in Gaza through alternative means and recommended passive defense measures to their comrades in the Free Hezbollah brigades in the event of any hostile American actions, which are probably coming soon. Now, Kataib Hezbollah holds a position of prominence within the broader Islamic resistance in Iraq. Now, this is an amalgamation of Iranian-backed militias that operate in Iraq. The U.S. has attributed Iran with the broad responsibility for arming and supporting these factions and have singled out Kataib Hezbollah as the likely perpetrator of the fatal attack on Tower 22 back on Sunday. Now, responding to the statement from Hezbollah, Pentagon Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder remarked during a briefing on Tuesday, quote, "We've seen those reports. I don't have a specific comment to provide other than actions speak louder than words," end quote. Ryder emphasized that the U.S. has persistently called on Iranian proxies to cease their actions, but these calls have largely gone unanswered, implying that the U.S. is still going to respond when and how it deems necessary. Now, in response to previous attacks, the U.S. has conducted a series of strikes in Iraq, Yemen, Syria, and these operations have targeted Kataib Hezbollah and other entities such as the Houthis. Now, despite these actions, attacks on U.S. troops haven't gone down. They've occurred roughly 166 times since October. Now, Kataib Hezbollah also attempted to disassociate Iran from the near daily attacks in Iraq and Syria since October. The Hezbollah members asserted that these actions were not carried out by Iran or anyone with Iranian influence. They were carried out by some unknown autonomous groups. Now, Hezbollah's statement noted that the methods of these, quote, other groups were not entirely understood or endorsed by their counterparts, even within the broader axis of influence that is controlled by the Islamic Republic of Iran. But we can pretty accurately speculate that Hezbollah and Iran know that this group, backed by Iran, killed 3 Americans, went too far and are now worried about being in the crosshairs of a U.S. response. However, there was a deal apparently brokered by the Iraqi Prime Minister, which I alluded to earlier. An advisor to the Iraqi Prime Minister attributed these moves by Hezbollah to the Prime Minister's diplomatic efforts by stating, quote, "This is a result of efforts made by Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani internally and externally with different forces and parties in Iraq, and calls made by the Iraqi government to avoid escalation and avoid causing more tension to ensure the smoothness of negotiations in order to complete the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Iraq," end quote. Now, these developments do coincide with upcoming talks between the U.S. and Iraq regarding the future of the U.S. military presence in Iraq. And there are public calls from the Iraqi government for troops to withdraw. There is plausibility to this deal being brokered by the Iraqi Prime Minister with Hezbollah, but when you see Iran or Hezbollah purposefully declare that they weren't involved, you can pretty much guarantee they were involved. Now, a senior U.S. official has told various news agencies that the Biden administration, along with defense officials, are preparing for a military campaign in the Middle East, which could last for several weeks and includes strikes on Iranian and Iranian-backed forces in Iraq and Syria, as well as cyber attacks against targets likely located within Iran. But those have yet to start as of right now.